Hey everybody, so at this exact moment I'm kind of climbing down a little bit of an incline here and enjoy some of these rocks. Alright, so just wanted to take a moment. I'm gonna sit down on this rock. Yeah. So thank you for joining in. And I'm just gonna kind of share what's on top, which is what I do. All right, so let's just share some of the things that's been going on here. One of the things that I'm reminded of is just that this whole idea that life is a process, it's a journey. And when we are really leaning on who God is and we just let Him lead, then we're gonna have a much different outcome, experience, etc., than when we're trying to force all these solutions of trying to do everything on our own. And when we really let go, more and more, I'm just finding the more you let go, the more God gives you more. Simple, so simple, hard to practice, easy to understand. So right now, I'm just gonna span the camera. It's a beautiful river. It's along, this trail is kind of along this. And I just wanted to share about this idea of trusting the process, and also of, there are actions required from us, in this journey. So there are things that we still need to do in order to show that we are listening, being obedient, etc. So I took a trip recently, and I was totally led to go there for something that I wanted to go to this location for, and I was excited about that. And at the last minute, I had this dream vision thing that was like involving a friend of mine, and it was like include him in the process. And sometimes we're asked to do things that are really uncomfortable and stretch us beyond our comfort zone, stretch us beyond what we would like to do versus what we're being asked to do by the Spirit. And like I said, walking that line is sometimes challenging and difficult. So the bottom line is, I was obedient. I invited my friend to come along. And when you're on a long trip together with someone, there's going to be some differences between maybe how you live and how the other person lives, your upbringing, how you were schooled, etc. And so sometimes it's difficult just to communicate. Like sometimes you have to I'm at this certain level, and I might have to back it up a little bit and then bring it down a level so that it's more understandable. And I might even have to stay there a little bit and then bring it down a level. So it's like this constant thing that God's teaching us, how to communicate differently with others. So bottom line, there was success in this trip, but yet there were a lot of obstacles along the way in this trip. And the first one is sometimes you don't get to the destination in the timing that you anticipate. Like I looked it up on GPS. I managed the time thinking, okay, we'll get there by this time and that'll be enough time, and therefore I get to do my thing, and etc. And the bottom line was, with the traffic, it didn't turn out that way, and it was double the amount of time driving in the car. And that's an example of sometimes things don't go the way that you planned. And with that comes challenges. And again, my idea of how I get prepared for activities and for the what ifs in life may be very different than how somebody else prepares for the what ifs in life. So bottom line, first time we get to this location, it's a lot later than anticipated. I had marked out, different places that were 24-hour places, thinking that worst case scenario, there'd be some places that we could go to that were 24-hour places, but those places ended up being just, closing at midnight and not open 24 hours. So that changed again the plan. And it was a very cold night. And this is where, again, like, I'm the kind of person that, I can maintain my own needs. Like, I have a plan and a backup plan for my needs. But when someone else is involved and even though I said, you know, you might be prepared for this, this, and this, the point is they weren't prepared to the level that I was prepared. And again, you don't really know what it's like until you experience something. And then when you experience something, you sometimes that's what draws the boundary line, like, no more, I can't do this. Like, you know, my level of comfort is within these lines, and, you know, this is cringing on my boundaries, you know. So the bottom line is, I was definitely challenged in terms of being compassionate, and at the same time, you know, there's a line that says, you know, Jesus says, you know, if somebody is homeless, give them a place to sleep. If someone is hungry, give them food, etc. And in this moment, you know, all of those things were kind of cringing in this intersection. And so I was really being challenged on all those different levels. And the point is, like I said, I know how to handle those things for myself, but when somebody else is not prepared in the sense that I'm prepared, then my compassion was like, well, you know, you can sleep in the sleeping bag on the floor, but I've never been in a situation where, you know, I'm in literally the same small space or the same small room with someone that, you know, for my liking and my preference, like, that was totally, like, not comfortable, not okay for me, given my history and given the fact that I'm not looking to, quote, lead anybody on in any way, and in no way was this a, quote, romantic thing. This was a survival thing. It was very cold that evening. But the bottom line is, the issue is, it was like a strong line for me, like, you know, that happened this night, but as for the following night, like, you're gonna need to, like, have a hotel, you're gonna need to get a tent, you're gonna need to do something else, because I can't have you in my space, not that small of a space. You know, van life and RV life it's very different. And, you know, van life is very small, and there isn't a lot of space to, you know, move around in a van like there is in a large room. And then when you add going to the bathroom, somebody else's sleeping habits, talking in their sleep, etc., all those variables, like, you know, you're not going to get any sleep. So the bottom line is, this experience taught me, like I said, I've been alone in my van, and I know what it's like to be in my van and get a great night's sleep and feel like I've had the best sleep ever. And then I was challenged with, oh my gosh, a person that has restless sleep, that, you know, has to get up every 5 seconds to go to the bathroom. Like, all those variables make it very uncomfortable when you're with someone that is like an acquaintance friend and not someone that you are in, like, a serious relationship with. So, like I said, it was very challenging. But what it taught me was, again, levels of boundaries, what I can accept, what I can't accept, where I'm willing to be of service, and where I have to draw the line and be like, my own comfort and safety level was compromised, and I can't have that going forward. So what I'm sharing with you in this experience is just for you to, again, in your own life, consider some of the challenges that you were put through, what lessons are learned and gleaned upon because you were forced and put into those certain circumstances that would, you know, challenge your, you know, level of comfort, your level of giving, your level of how you serve others. And at the same time, you know, we need to, you know, have the most availability to be of, you know, high level serving other people. And if you don't get a good night's sleep, obviously it's going to be difficult to serve others at the level that you really want to serve them at if your sleep is compromised. So, like I said, lesson learned. However, there were great things along the journey that were helpful, and that, you know, we both learned different things about one another, and we also learned where we're both similar, and some of the obstacles that were similar to both of us. And then we also learned the differences of, you know, what makes me me and what makes him him. And so again, it was an opportunity to grow. It always is an opportunity to grow. The question is, you know, how are you going to take that information, and then how are you going to apply it? So there are some opportunities that have come out of this, in the sense of, some business ventures that I'm considering. And so it was good, and it continues to, have opportunities for victory as long as I keep leaning on who God is, what God is calling me to do, what people God are bringing forth to me for us to work together, and also recognizing that we all have basic needs that we need to have nourished, and at the same time the way that we nourish those needs may be differently, and to then be able to find win-win solutions and opportunities so that I get my needs met, somebody else gets their needs met, and everybody wins. In this circumstance, I put up the money so that he could get a hotel, so that I could be in my van and rest comfortably in my space, and he could be in a hotel. And then there was an agreement to, pay back that money at a different time. So the bottom line is, sometimes we are called to do things that are uncomfortable, like I said, and sometimes the experience itself shows us, where we need to grow, and also just where these boundary lines are of safety, of comfort, of compassion. And that, again, if you're in a large house, for example, and you have a spare guest room, or you have a living room which is far away from where your bedroom is, and somebody else is sleeping on a sofa and somebody else is sleeping in a guest room and you're in your bedroom, that's a lot more space in a home, and that usually works out very well. I've accommodated many people in a home. But the point is, when you're in a small space, it's a whole different game, and sound levels are heightened, and movement levels are heightened, and just proximity is heightened. And I would say that I think that van life in my type of van is better suited for solo travelers, one person. If you're a couple and you're married, yes, that might work. But again, in such small spaces, it really requires a tremendous amount of communication skills and cooperation, and and sacrifice, because you can't take all your gear with you when you're dealing with multiple people, multiple personalities, and multiple interests. You've got to really streamline it down. So anyway, I hope that helps for anybody that is traveling, anybody else that is just going through some circumstantial changes of learning about boundaries, learning about being kind, also learning about, extending hospitality to our brothers and sisters when they're in need, and then also, figuring out what our needs are and what we need to care for ourselves as well. So I hope you have a great day, everybody, and have a great night.